In the words of one Labor luminary, the Australian public no longer sees action on climate change as a serious option. Former New South Wales Premier Bob Carr made the comment in reaction to a poll showing support for action on climate change has collapsed. But Julia Gillard's pressing on with the plan, saying it will be finalised within weeks. Here's political correspondent Tom Eagleton.
The government's been vague about its deadline for unveiling its carbon tax. It's only been saying July. Make that late July.
I would adopt the language of weeks, but we are working hard on this and we'll do it as soon as we can.
Sooner would be better on an issue that, according to one poll, is slipping fast down the greasy pole of public opinion. Support for aggressive action to combat climate change has plunged to 41% from an overwhelming majority in 2007. Gradual measures to deal with carbon emissions have steady support, but climate change action, which costs money, is facing rising opposition. Many in Labor are worried that government should have tried harder to price carbon back in the day when public support for the issue was strong.
The core of this delay has got to be sheeted home to the Greens, who voted with the coalition to delay it while scepticism grew apace, and then to do it in December 2009.
But the Greens say the poll's misleading.
People weren't told that there would be compensation, so they were asked, would you pay more, and were not told that households will be assisted.
The government is telling them that, though, especially lower-income households.
Around 3 million households on low incomes will get a battler's buffer.
A buffer so that they're actually getting 20% more than the expected impact on them of a price on carbon, because we realise they're the Australians with the absolutely tightest budgets.
But money's not the only object with the carbon tax. Bob Carr says there's also concern about what the neighbours are up to, one in particular.
The defeat of support for cap and trade within the US Senate, I think, figures very, very significantly in having Australians now regard bold action on climate change as not a serious policy option.
Now, the government keeps peddling this lie that the rest of the world is on the verge of introducing carbon taxes and emissions trading scheme.
And if the government's being vague about when it'll unveil its carbon tax, the same could be said of when it plans to allow the resumption of the Indonesian live cattle trade. The Agriculture Minister's announced a $3 million compensation package for those who've lost their jobs because of the ban, but he says though it'll run for 13 weeks, that's no guide to how long it'll take the industry to fix its animal cruelty issues.
All of that does take a little bit of time. It's not going to be overnight for this trade to reopen.
And given his support package has to pass both houses of Parliament, he's continuing to pressure Meat and Livestock Australia to open its wallet.
The MLA should now step up to the plate and meet that $5 million contingency fund.
But the MLA says that's not what its contingency fund's designed for. Tom Eagleton, Lateline.